when we look at the challenges of, from a security standpoint, of the technology release and requirements release that comes from all the various national OEMs and subs that come into the various countries here in the region, and then we look at the security requirements that each country have its own basic MRO capability in country, how do we ever drive efficiencies of scale in the business model? How do we come up with depots that might serve interests across borders for various countries? Or do we end up with a situation where we do have to put in almost a full-up capability in MRO for all these various platforms and systems in each country? What are some of your thoughts on how we might find the balance between those two extremes?
For me, it's about not over-investing in capabilities. I think we've seen far too many examples, not just in the GCC, but in individual kingdoms and individual countries where we've already over-invested in the capacity that the individual kingdoms need. And that's an area where I think we've got to be very careful. I've seen, numerous examples of companies that have started up 5-10 years ago. They've got no revenues today because somebody else has started up a company after them and have eaten the revenues that they should have been having. Now, that's not to say that companies can't compete. That's not to say it's not an open market. But I think if we're going to encourage people to invest in the kingdoms, they've got to see a return on that investment, and that's got to be commensurate with the money they've put in.
So in that regard, I think localization and driving local jobs has been a key reason for some of this over the years, and a very important one, actually. And we heard a lot about that in the earlier session. Might you all comment a little bit on how you would balance some of the localization requirements, how to drive hiring of locals and to educate locals for these jobs, particularly in a place in the kingdom, in Saudi Arabia, where we have more of a urgent need to get some of these folks trained and up to speed on some more advanced jobs in this area?
Yeah, so I find the dialogue around this subject quite interesting because I turned up in Saudi Arabia in 2015. I'd been fed a line of what it was like to live in Saudi Arabia. I'd never been there before. And what I found was 180 degrees from the reality that was portrayed.
Often the case.
And therefore, quite honestly, we haven't found it a challenge to recruit people within the kingdom. We haven't found a challenge to recruit talent within the kingdom. What we found more of an issue is, quite frankly, getting rid of some of the expats that weren't adding value to the kingdom. All they were doing really was taking away one paycheck at a time. So because they haven't committed to the local economy, they haven't committed to the country or the customers and suppliers that they're supporting. So now we're on that journey where we're recruiting people, we're finding plenty of talent, we're creating many opportunities. I think one of the previous speakers on the previous panel talked about gone are the days where we can recruit bright graduates from university and give them administration jobs. And I think there's a double-edged sword in this in respect of if we're going to recruit talent, we've got to develop scale to give the people challenge so that we retain them within the businesses.